Hakadosh Boker Tov Moadim L'Simcha. Masechet Sotah Daf Amud Aleph 15a1. We were just speaking about now Maktiro B'Klei Sharet, that you're going to bring it. This is the Korban of the Mincha offering, the flour offering of the Sotah, that you bring it in a Kli Sharet, in a holy utensil that was used in the Bet HaMikdash. B'Klei Sharet Maktile says the Gemara, why you're bringing it in a Kli Sharet? Ela Ema, but rather Ma'alehu B'Kli Sharet Laktiro. But rather, it's not that you're bringing it in a Kli Sharet, right? Because you're actually pouring it on the fire, but rather you're bringing it up in a Kli Sharet. Fine. Then we said, then you come and you put it on the fire. How do we know that? Because it says, was you first to put melach. First melach, always melach. And then, because it says, on other korbanot, you have to put melach. So then they used to bring the komets. Remember, the komets is doing like this, and then they come and they bring it, but then afterwards, the leftovers, you're allowed to eat it. How do we know? So the leftovers goes to Aaron and to his children. Then when they bring the komets, he says, when is it going to be karev? Each one according to their own opinion. To each one it was stated, since when is going to be permitted the shiraim in the eating of it? Rav Chanina says, once the fire is going to come and is going to start taking part of it, consuming it. Rabbi Yochanan says, as long as the oil goes in the majority of it. That means not as long as the fire got on part of it, the fire has to go in the majority of it, and then they're allowed to come and start. Now, the Kohanim, they don't have to eat it dry. They could come and they're allowed to put yain, shemen, dvash, oil, wine, honey. They're allowed to put all these things. My time, what's the reasoning? Amar Krab, it says in Pasuk, lemoshcha. What does it mean, lemoshcha? Ligdula. What does that mean? That they're going to come and they're going to have it with gdula. Just like the kings are going to eat it. So that means they come and they eat it like, they're like kings. So they're going to eat it properly with all the things that they want to add it. But the only thing which they're prohibited to do is to make chametz. What does it mean? You're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to make chametz. So it's Furash to the Pasuk. Rabbi Shimon Lakish says, Rabbi Shimon Lakish, not even part of it can you make it into chametz. Fine. 2 dots. All the menachot which they're going to need, shemen ulvana. But the sotah is different. It says, what? All the flour offerings need oil and frankincense. What about mincha? The Torah says, don't put it. So says, this is what we say. All the meal offerings, they need shemen ulvana. They need oil and frankincense. And they come from wheat, and it comes from fine flour. Right? But mincha choteh, even though it does not need the oil and the frankincense, it still comes from wheat and it still comes from fine flour. Mincha omer, even though it's coming from seodim, it's coming from barley, still you need shemen ulvanot. You still need oil and frankincense. And it comes like a flour, right? But the minchat sotah does not come not oil, not frankincense, and it comes from barley. And it comes as flour, not fine flour. Meaning that since we already mentioned yesterday that since she did an animalistic act, that she cheated against her husband, so we tell her to bring animal food, which is barley. We tell her that it's not fine flour. There's not going to be oil and frankincense. It's all going to be mamash different. Why? Because this is a minchat sotah. There's a woman that she committed adultery, or even suspected adultery, or suspected infidelity against her husband. Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Do you know that even a mincha choteh should have required oil and frankincense? Because what? He's going to save on the oil and on the frankincense. What? We don't want that the sinner should gain. So why do we say that it doesn't? We don't want his korban to be muhudar. Meaning the fact that he sinned and now he has to bring this korban, the korban mincha. We don't want it to listen, he's gaining that he brings a nice korban. Even the korban that he brings is not the best. And the chatat, which they bring for eating chelev by accident, right, which is a regular chatat, tuna nesachim, really should require wine libations. Right, that it shouldn't be choten iskar, that he doesn't have to bring wine. So why do we say that he doesn't bring it? The same reason. We don't want him to have a korban which is meudar. But the chatat of a mitzorah and the hasham of a mitzorah, of a leopard, right, whether it's going to be his chatat or hasham, his sin offering or his guilt offering, they do need a nisachim because they don't come because of sin. So anything which is not coming because of sin, you do require the wine libations Remember, wine libations mean that they pour wine on it, right? On the mizbeach, right? And all these things. But if it's going to be a sin, even though technically you should have brought it because of that, we don't want that a chotesh should be in niskar, but we didn't want that it should be a nice korban. We wanted it to be like a korban which is like second class. Because at the end of the day, he's a sinner. So we don't give them the best korban, and we bring that. That means he shouldn't come and say, listen, at least I got a good korban. You know how it is. Sometimes they come late to the synagogue, and then they say an incredible amidah. So the Yetzirah pats himself on the back. Look how good I am. I came, but I daven much better than all the guys over there. All the guys over there, they were on time, but they did. But that's the Yetzirah. Why was the Yetzirah? He purposely lets you do that. Why does he purposely let you do that? Yeah, he comes and he says, right, of what's it called? In order that you should come late, all the finished. So we just said like this. We just said, any is it so? Are you going to tell me now that the mitzorah, they don't come on a sin? You know why leprosy comes? For 7 different reasons. And all of them are sin. Meaning because of Lashon Hara, because of this, because of that. So it's all because of sins. What are you talking about that the mitzorah does not come because of sins? So says the Gemara, no, there, he's mitkaper already through the nega. Meaning the fact that he got tzaraat, that's his kapara already. That's his atonement. He might take korban. So why is he bringing a korban, man? The korban is not the atonement. The only somebody could eat kochi. Meaning this guy spoke Lashon Hara. He got tzaraat. The tzaraat itself is the kapara. He doesn't have to bring a korban for the kapara. The korban, when he's bringing it, is only to permit it in eating kochim. So since the korban is only to permit it to be kochim, so therefore it's not going to be brought as a kapara. Ela me'ata, so we're going to ask the following question. Chatan nazir, te'teuna nesachim lefi she'ena ba lachet. He comes and he says, look about right now, the chatat nazir. The chatat of nazir finishes his nazirut, and also it should need wine libations. Why? Because it's not coming on a sin. So says, he holds like Rabbi Lazar, no, a nazir is a sinner as well. It means according to the shita, it is a sinner, and that's why it's not going to require wine libations. 2 dots. Gamliel says, just like she did an action of an animal, so too her korban is an action of an animal. Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Elmaleh, Gamliel Chachamim says, Sofrim. Who's Sofrim? The Talmidei Chachamim. Talmidei Chachamim are called Sofrim. Hanichuli, just leave me. And I'm going to explain it so beautifully. 15b. As he heard Rabbi Meir that he said, do you think that this woman that she committed adultery, she just started like that? She gave him delicacies. She wins him. True Moroccan. How do Moroccans win over the guys? Through their meatballs. And there's a famous story of meatballs that Chacham put in Kabbalistic things in the meatballs. Anybody that wanted to eat the meatballs, they wanted to go out with his daughter. Right? Meaning that she put on with food. What about Tunisians? She came. What? Tunisians with their couscous thing. What's it called? The kela. Yeah. So what happens is, but think about it. They like it. They put, exactly. You put the Kabbalistic things in it. That's how they buy them. How do they buy them? They gotta. How did they get the? That's how she killed. Exactly with food. No. So he says, So he says, since it was ma'achal bema, Amar lahem, he says, Hatina Hashira. I told him she's rich. Aniyama, what if she's poor? What are you going to say? Ela kashem shemaasea maaseh bema kach korban ma'achal bema. The fact that her actions was like maaseh bema, so too her korban is going to be maaseh bema. Mishnah tedvav umbet. She used to bring a cup of earthenware. She used to put half a log of water from the kior. Rabbi Yehuda says a revi'it of the log and not half of a log from the kior. Okay? So says the Gemara, the Mishnah, just like they used to come and he used to minimize in the amount of psukim, he used to minimize in water as well. Okay, what does that mean? That means he didn't want to write down so much in the pasuk of the Megillat Sotah. Remember, Megillat Sotah was they used to take part of the Torah, write it out in a cloth, and then they used to make it erase in water. So Rabbi Yehuda used to minimize what was actually written there. But according to Chachamim, it was written more. So the same thing, Rabbi Yehuda used to put much less of water, and because if you have less parchment, you need less water. But according to Chachamim, you need more. Keshem, he says now, Nichnas le'echal, the Kohen used to come into the Hechal, Panal Yamino used to turn to the right, he had a malma, the Tavla Shachai, she used to have a Tavla on the floor. The Tabat, he used to have a Tabat there. There were Tabaot. He used to come and take the afar underneath it. Right? And then he used to come and he used to take that it should be seen in the water. So therefore, when it says here, mashma, that it's not going to be nivla b'mayim, but it should be nikar al pnei hamayim. So says the Gemara, Tana, we learned in the Braita, pialeh shel cheres chadasha It has to be Pialeh Shel Cheres Chadasha. Divrei Rabbi Yishmael, these words of Rabbi Yishmael. My time Rabbi Yishmael was Rabbi Yishmael. Kamar Keli mi Metzora. You have a Gzera Shava. Keli from Metzora. Right? What does that mean? Maleh Halan, just like a Metzora. The Kli is Cheres Chadasha, has to be a new earthenware utensil. Afkan, so to here, Cheres Chadasha, it's going to be a new earthenware utensil. So it says the Gemara, Ve'hata min Alan. Over there, how do we know this? The Chtiv says in a pasuk, that they're going to slaughter that tzipora echat on kli cheres ma'im chayim. Ma'im, just like the water has to be live water, means it comes from a live place source of water. Shalom that no melacha was done to the water. So to the kli, shalom melacha. So we knew that there was no melacha done to it. So it says Gemara, so ma'im, just like over there by the Metzora has to be ma'im chayim. So to you by the Sotah it should be ma'im chayim. So says the Gemara that Rabbi Yishmael, according to Rabbi Yishmael, Achinam, you're right. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, make kior. Where did the make kior come from? The waters of the kior, where do they come from? Rabbi Yishmael Omer Memayanhin. It comes from the springs. Chachamim says no, Misham Emoten. Comes from other waters, which means that just like the Masechet Sotah, they're taken from the kior. So if you hold that it comes from a spring, so then it comes from Ma'im Chayim, and therefore the Sotah is also coming from Ma'im Chayim. So Yikal Mifrach, but you could ask, Male Metzora Shekentau Neretzeres. 1 second. The Metzora, you need the cedar wood. You need etz eres, ve'zovu shli tolat, and you need the crimson wool, right, and all these things. He says it's only by Metzora. You don't need that all by the Sotah. So Rabbi says, "Amarka bichli chares, v'lakacha goyim kodashim bichli chares, keli she'amarti lecha kvar." It's a kli that I already told you about, which is a Metzora. So therefore, that's the one that we were mentioning. So Rabbi says, "Doshan v'la shalom nitam akmu panav." That's only if it did not become blackened, right, that you use it so much. But if it's already became blackened, psulim. My time I was reasoning, it has to be like the water. Just like the water, the water cannot change its appearance. What does it change? Its color, so that it's not good water, it's not kosher anymore. So two kli shalom nishtanu has to be a utensil which was not changed. Rabbi asks, what happens if it did become blackened, and then you put it back into the fire, and you made it new again? Again, it became like a new utensil. What's halacha? Do I say, once it was pushed off, and now it's not usable, so that's it? Well, maybe I'm going to say, right? Once it goes back, that it became kosher again, so now you're allowed to use it again. So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof. Rabbi Elazar says, what happens if you have these utensils, where they're talking about the etz eres, the cedar wood, the hyssop wood, the shnitulat, that you put it in the back. So it's going to be now psulin for tarat metzora. Why? Because now... Because now it's because of Masad, you carried it. You put it behind him. So now it's like you carried it. Once you carried it in such a form, it's off. It's pasul. You're not allowed to use it anymore. So he says, but 1 second. When you just put it down, it didn't change it anymore. Imagine right now, I take the matzah, I put it on my back. Some people actually have the minhag. They put it on their back and they walk around the table. This is how we went out of Egypt with our betsekam. It was on their shoulders. So they put it on their shoulders, they go walking around. So if they did that, when you come and you put the matzah back in front of you, did it come back to the original form? Of course it is. So why now, just because you put it on your back, because you carried it, now becomes like pasul, but when you put it back in front of you, again, it's all kosher again. So answers the Gemara, says no, because you basically carried it on your back, it became like damaged, and therefore it cannot be fixed again. Meaning the fact that you put on your back these things, that's it. You can't put it to the original form. Fine. It says the 2 dots. We just said that he goes into the Hechal, the Kohen, and he turns to his right. My time, what's the reasoning? The Maramor was more says, whenever you turn, you always turn to the right. Yeah, whenever you turn, you always turn to the right. That's the way that it is. Okay, fine. There used to be an amalama. One amma by another amma. Remember, it's 48 centimeters square. 48 by 48. Okay, that's an amalama. We learned in a Braita. Maybe I could put the karka outside. The afar will come from the outside, and then I bring it into the Mishkan. And the second I bring it into the Mishkan, it's enough. You have to get the ground, you have to get the earth, the dirt from the ground of the Mishkan. So says the Gemara, maybe you could come and start digging. It already has to be ready. It has to be on the top of the ground. You can't start digging for it. Yesham have. If you have afar rach already there, you bring it. Then sham, but if you don't have, ten sham, place on there. Which means you're going to place the afar there in order that it should always be ready there. Okay, that's what it means. That means if it's already there, leave it there. But if it's not there, you have to bring there that it should always be afar ready on the Mishkan. right? Basically by the Mishkan ready in order to use it for this Sotah. Tanya Yidich, we also learned in another Braita.
They clean every morning the no?
So then it says, Tanya Yidich, we also learned in another Braita. So the other Braita says, no, he used to actually get afar from the outside and then he used to bring it into the Mishkan. When it says Bekarka Mishkan, he said, Lavi Karka, right? Shiloh, Nov, Vegivon, that comes to include the Karka of the different Mishkans. Remember, there was Mishkan Shiloh, Mishkan Nov, Givon, Ubet Alomim, and the Bet HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. Okay? The EC, right? 1 second, we're just finishing 1 second. EC Menachem Omer, Eno Tzarich, we're on Zayin Mudala from top. EC Menachem says, you don't need to bring this for the Bet HaMikdash. Why? If by Tuma Kala, we said that you, for example, somebody's tumata guf, right? He's not allowed to come into the Bet HaMikdash, and we didn't make a differentiation between the Mishkan and the Bet HaMikdash. Obviously, here we're talking about the tumata shetish that we're going to come and check the sotah. Obviously, it's just the same thing. So, what is the Mishkan? You cannot bring it inside of the kupa, but rather you have to take from the karka Mishkan, and if there's nothing there, you have to bring from the outside and you place it. But you cannot bring it inside of like a kupa, inside of like a basket or whatever it is, inside of the Bet HaMikdash, and then you're going to come and you're going to take it from